In this video, we are going to continue programming the login screen. Now, this screen is a little bit more complex when it comes to programming than the splash screen. And the issue why it is more complex is because there are many things involved that we need to take into account. So basically, what we're going to do is first, we are going to verify, that whenever the user is not giving the information of the text box for the email or the information for the password and is not agreeing to the terms and conditions, it's going to actually show a few messages saying that, hey, you didn't provide the information, so we cannot log in. After this information is validated or verified, we are going to check if the user account actually exists. If it exists, then it's going to tell the user that the account already exists, so it needs to just log in, right? Or it will let it log in automatically. But if it doesn't, then I will click on the register button and it will let me create the account and then log in. So that's what we're going to do. In order to do that, we need to add two more different components. The first one is the notifier, which is the one we're going to use for notifying the user what's happening with the interactions it's been doing. And the second one is called TinyDB. TinyDB is the one that is going to help us to store the information in a database in the smartphone that we're going to use. So it will be, the information will be stored locally in the smartphone, in the device, not on the cloud. So these are the two elements or components that we need to add. As you can see, you don't see them actually in the screen. They are non-visible components. Once this is completed, we are going to go ahead to the blocks part and we're going to start programming this. So as I was saying, I need that anytime the user clicks on the button login, something is going to happen. In order to make this easier to identify and avoid confusion, I will be renaming the text box. This is the text box for the email. Text box email. And then this is the password text box. I can leave it like this, no problem. The checkbox. And then the button one, this is the button for the login. And then the button 2 is the button for the register. This is highly recommended. Register. Perfect. It will avoid confusions, as I was saying in the previous videos. Now we go back to the blocks and I will be able to identify the buttons much easier as they are named. So I select the button login and I'm going to say, hey, when I click the button login, I need to do a few things. And the first thing that I was saying is that I need to verify that the user is actually giving me the text box, the email, and the password, and is also agreeing to terms and conditions. So how can I do this? I can simply go to Control and select this block when I'm going to use the conditional if then. So if the if part is completed, as it says here, it will give me the answer. If it's yes, it will do something. If it's not, then it's going to do something different. So I'm going to verify the text box and I need to see if the text box is empty or not. So in the text, I'm going to select the is empty component or block, and I'm going to go to the text box email and select a property of the text. And I pretty much need to do this also with the password text box. I need to select the password text box text. And I can just also duplicate this so that I don't need to go to the other part. So if it's empty, you need to do this other thing. And I need to add another one for the checkbox. So I'm going to go ahead and click here and add another else if block so that it lets me do it. For the text, for the checkbox, I actually need to check if it's not clicked. So I select the checkbox, and if it's not clicked or checked, it's going to do something. Yeah. So this is the logic that I'm going to implement. If the text box email is empty, what I'm going to do? Well, I'm going to notify the user. I'm going to select the call notifier show alert, and I'm going to show something there. I'm going to give some information to the user. So I go ahead to the left, select text, and I will add this one, which let me type something inside. And I need to do this for the three of them: the text box email, the text box password, and the checkbox. So I will duplicate this, and I'm going to type into each one of them what I need to give, what I want to notify to the user. So in the first one, please provide an email. Please enter a password. And please agree to terms and conditions. And that's it. After the user has agreed to this or has entered this information, then I will do something. Now comes the part of the else. If the user gave an email, if it also gave a password, and if it also checked or agreed to terms and conditions, I need to actually check if the email that the user provided already exists in the database, so it can log in and take it to the home screen. If not, it's going to show an alert and say like, hey, your user is not registered, you need to create an account. So that's what we're going to go and do here. In order to test it, I'm going to add a new screen, which is the which is the home screen. I click OK, and I will design it later, but it will take me here once the login is completed. So going back to the login blocks, I'm going to go ahead to the control part and add an if then else. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare some texts. They need to be actually equal. So what I'm going to compare, I'm going to call the TinyDB database and I'm going to get a value. What value? The value of the emails. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this and paste it here. And then I'm going to duplicate the password text box. So the explanation behind this is I'm saying I'm going to call the emails registered in the database. And if the emails that are registered in the database don't have a password, then I cannot let it in because the user does not exist. But if it does have a password associated to that email, it means that the account exists and it can log in and go into the home. Yeah. So now I'm going to program here the notifier. I can simply go here and duplicate and say login successful. And then I will let the user go to the other screen. So we remember we go to control and I will let the user go to the home screen. But if not, I need to notify the user and say like, wait a minute, actually the user does not exist. Please create an account. or please register. And this is where the register button comes in. In order to make this faster, what I'm going to do is simply duplicate all of the blocks that I did in the login button and change it to the register button. I will get rid of everything that is in the if else, if then else, and over here I will program all of that. So again, I need to check that the user gave the information, and after that I need to check. Remember, this is the register button. I need to check that the user gave the email, the user gave the password, and that the user agreed to the terms and conditions. But as I am registering, I also need to check and go to the database and not compare, but actually go through the list of emails that is in the database and check. If the database has the email, it means the user already exists, so it actually only needs to log in. But if not, I need to go to the database and actually create the account and notify the user that the account was created. So that's what we're going to do. In this part, we are going to implement this block coding part, which is the lists. We go down and we select the fourth one, is in list, and we add it here. Then I'm going to my list, which is a list of the emails that the database has. I need to go to TinyDB and get the tags. The tags is the list of emails. If we can associate this by saying that the tags are identifiers. They are unique in the database. So a user can have different users can have the same password, but different users cannot have the same email. It's unique to them. That's why the tags are the identifiers of the users. In this case, the tags are the emails. So what I'm saying here is I'm actually asking the database, is the email that the user gave in the list? If it's not in the list, I need to store the value. But if it is in the list, it means that the user exists and it can simply log in. So I'm going to duplicate this notifier and say that the user already exists. Please log in. On the contrary, if the user doesn't exist, it means I need to create the user. I go to TinyDB and I'm going to store those values that the user is actually giving me. As I was saying before, the tags are the emails. So I need to store the emails, and to those emails, I'm going to associate the passwords that the user will give me. After this, I simply need to then notify the user that the registration was successful. Please log in to continue. And that's it. As simple as this. This is the coding part of the login screen. Both confirming that the login button confirms if the user exists. If it does not exist, it would notify the user so that it can create the account and so on.